Let's settle for the details of our headlines now. And the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has increased electricity tariffs by 2.63% and 1.06% for water effective April 1.
The Commission explained the increment was necessary in order to sustain the operations of service providers.
This is the second adjustment review by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission this year. PURC in January maintained utility tariffs for the first quarter. PURC in a statement explained the Commission arrived at 31.73% for electricity and 21.30% for water. Using the decision variable, the Commission decided to pass on a minimal tariff increase. The extra cost spent by consumers for alternative source of electricity necessitated the minimal increase. It will be recalled that the Ghana Water Company was denied a 4.54% tariff increase as a form of penalty during the last quarter of 2014 due to a non-compliance with regulatory directives. Ghana Water, in a statement, has been relieved of the ban, and effective April 1, the gazetted water tariffs for the fourth quarter of 2014 would be implemented. Currently, the country is undergoing a 24-hour load shedding exercise due to the inadequate generation. But the PURC attributed the current increase to sustaining the operations of the utility service providers.
So it's official, electricity tariffs are by 2.63% and water tariffs are by 1.06%. Joining us on the phone lines is Director of Communications at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Anaya Jantwa. Thank you very much, madam, for your time. So how do you justify this increase?
The PURC, using the automatic adjustment formula this quarter, realized an increase of 31.73% and 21% for electricity, for water, But using the decision variable, the Commission decided to pass on just 2.63% for electricity and 1.06% for water, so that the ECD, especially the ECD and NETCO, they can get some revenue to undergo their maintenance work. For instance, what is happening right now, you hear people saying they've gone off for 36 hours, 48 hours. Some of it mostly are outages, not the load shedding. And also during our monitoring, we've also come to notice that the switches that they used to put off the electricity on the feeders, it is becoming weaker and weaker because they were not designed for tampering, that every time you put it on, you put it off. So all these put together, the Commission decided that under the circumstances, let's give NETCO and ECG some amount of money just to maintain and preserve the situation in which we are, so that the outages would not worsen the situation.
As the entity mandated to protect the interests of consumers, would you say this is a fair increment on the ordinary consumer?
Yes, because we realized a certain higher percentage, and the Commission decided to pass on a lower one, a minimal one, which is just to maintain the current situation.
It doesn't matter how minimal it is, ma'am. I think for a lot of it doesn't matter how minimal it is, madam. I think for a lot of people, what they are concerned about is the quality of service, which doesn't seem to improving at all.
You know, we always say that the situation we are going through is not an issue of quality of service. The quality of service comes in when there are outages that are not resolved. And that is what we want to avoid by this increase. Because you see, if there are outages which is not load shedding, then, and it is left to go as it is without any maintenance or any solution to it, then we are having an issue of quality of service. What we have right now is inadequacy of generation. It is not an issue of quality of service because there's a shortfall in generation, especially with the fact that there's a shift in generation mix, where Akosombo has come down drastically, being one of the major sources of generation of electricity.
Again, I'm sure a lot of people would like to know when this load shedding exercise would be over. Even the current load shedding timetable that's been provided for consumers is not being adhered to. As a commission, what are you doing to give...
That is exactly what we are saying, that it is not being adhered to because there are lots of outages in the system. And that has to be maintained because, for instance, if you have a vehicle and you haven't maintained it, at a point it will break down completely and you cannot move it. And that is what, if we are not careful, we get to that. And even the little what we have or the situation that what we have now might worsen. Not as in a load shedding situation, but as in a situation where there are outages due to non-maintenance of equipment.
I'm sorry to say this, Anaya, but this is my final question to you. I'm sure a lot of people watching at home would say, we've heard these explanations time upon time again. We're having no explanation at all as to what's currently happening. Is this fair?
I can't hear you.
I'm saying that I'm sure for most people listening at home, they are asking themselves that we've had this explanation coming from the PULC time and again, and we're not having any improvement in service delivery.
No, but what we are saying, you don't mix up two things. The explanation that we've given, for the last 2 quarters, we did not increase the tariff. And now we have realized a certain percentage and we are saying that we are not passing on that percentage. What we always say is that to maintain the situation, we don't. This tariff is not for an improvement. This tariff is even to maintain what we are in right now.
I understand that.
Make sure that we do it doesn't get out of hand, that the whole country will be in darkness, or almost half of the country or more will be in darkness. At least what we have now, you can get some power for some time and it is off and it comes and that is it. But if we don't look at especially the maintenance side of it, we will come to a point where everything will go off. And that is what we want to avoid. And we also want to reiterate that for the last 2 quarters, there was no tariff increase. And we also have a 31% tariff increase. And we say, no, we won't pass it on. Considering the variables that underpin the automatic adjustment formula, especially what we are looking at, the shift in generation mix, that now there's dependence more on thermal than on hydro, and hydro being a cheaper source of generation.
So, Nanaya, can you say for certain that we are not going to have any review in tariffs again this year?
No, we review tariffs every time. It depends on how it goes. And it depends on the efficiencies of the time. It depends on the movement of the variables that underpin the automatic adjustment formula. As for tariff reviews, we do it every time. Like the last quarter, we did a tariff review, but we did not increase the tariff.
But it doesn't matter the quality of service. All right, thank you very much. We'll have to leave it here. Nanaya Jantua is Communications Director at the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission.